Good evening, everyone. This is Jean from Jean's Gems, and I just wanted to come to you with a little tutorial on some journaling cards that I made. I got the inspiration for these from some little houses that I had been making. If you all recall, I made some and decorated them with different windows and shapes for windows and doors, and I really enjoy doodling in my projects. So this is what kind of inspired these journaling cards. The other thing that I've been experimenting with to make things look a little bit more abstract in journals are different shapes other than the normal shapes that we usually make with our projects. So, for example, if we have a journal, most of our items that are in our journal, for example, I have a signature here. So everything that this journal contains for this signature contains, for the most part, is either square or rectangle. Some of the pieces are longer, some of the pieces are taller. The only thing that we really have in here that's a different shape is this doily. So for the most part, or the coffee filter that I put in it, but for the most part, the shapes that we use are either going to be square or rectangular until you, of course, get to your embellishments, where then at the embellishment stage, you can start using more abstract designs or shapes. So what I was thinking about was a creative way to make journal cards that would make our junk journals look a little bit more interesting visually. So what I have developed, or what I started to cut, I will show you some of the shapes that I still haven't matted, but basically I used kind of a window design. Now, this is probably the view of the window when the curtains are on the window, okay? So here you would have the top of your curtain and then the bottom of your curtain. So they remind me of windows, most generally, but they also lend to more of a, could be a Gothic style or Victorian style, whichever you prefer. But I don't know where I had originally viewed this design, but someone had used it to make some windows for their houses, or something that they put this shape on as like a even a frame. So I cut out several of these pieces, and they all are in different styles. A lot of them are hand cut, so I don't have a specific pattern, although you can make yourself a specific pattern if you want. But for the matting process, you basically just need 2 or 3 pages that are just a little bit smaller than the one that you lay down first. So I'm going to show you how I made these, and I'm going to use this one as a background. and I'm going to see which one of these fits it best. So you want to make it so that you have some type of border, okay? Because that makes it look like a frame. Now, if you want more border than that, we can use this one that offers a little bit more border. And then what we would put on the back would then be a plain color or a plain style. So let me go ahead with this piece of paper that I have here and show you the basic process of this. So the first thing I will do is I will cut, I'm going to fold this in half. That way I can get 2 or 3 out of this rather than doing one at a time. So I'm just going to cut this in half here. This is a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So that's what I've used for the majority of the projects I have. Sometimes the inside paper will be a little bit different. So basically, once you cut yourself a square shape like this, it's not, I just eyeballed it. So it's about 5.5 inches roughly. About 5.5. So if you go by 5.5 and 6, that would be a great starting point if you want to make the large journaling cards. So what I do is I go from the corner and I just basically cut in like I'm making a waist. Okay, so you just get this curve, and then the other one you cut the same way so that you get a curve. Okay, now if you want, we have to do the top too, so we'll start here and make a curve to the other corner. You can draw these out if you want, but I have just been free cutting mine just like this. Now, on this particular one, you could actually, since we have here 2 pieces now, okay, we can cut this one like this, okay, and put another curve at the bottom. And there we have our base, okay? So as you can see, there's no fancy cutting needed. You just kind of eyeball it and make it into this kind of window shape. So after that, you're going to need to know that basically, since this is your border or your frame, you're going to need another piece that's going to be smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one as a guide, and I'm just going to cut this one out. And I folded this in half as well, so that I could get 2 pieces. And this again is 12 by 12 cardstock. This one does have a double-sided, so you don't have to use double-sided. You can use any kind that you want. So I'm going to use this as the template for cutting the inside piece that I'm going to mat. But after I get it trimmed the same size, I need to be able to make it smaller so that it will fit inside the red. So what I do with that is I just start cutting in like maybe 1/4 of an inch, and again do the same thing I did on the first one, just freehand cut it with those dips or waist, whatever you want to call it. And then just do that for each side, just a little bit smaller than what your current design is. And I might be able to get away with just cutting 3 sides, and then you lay it down. I think I'm going to cut this one in just a little bit more. I like to see a little bit more of the frame on them. And then what you would do is mat this by gluing this on. So I'm going to just take a little bit of glue and go around the edges here. If my glue will glue. This is great glue, by the way, but once it starts to get near the bottom, pardon me, it seems like it's hard to squeeze it out. And my hands are not very strong right now because the rain and the damp weather is really having an effect on my my arthritis. So this should be fine. You don't need a whole lot of glue. You can use tape as well, score tape if you want to use that. So here is, and if any squishes out, you just can wipe that off with a baby wipe or your finger. One thing I notice about this cardstock, I love it because it's textural, but if you don't wipe off those glued spaces or where it squishes out, it'll leave some marks. So there we have a really pretty matted piece. Now you can continue to mat another piece on here if you want, but you don't have to. You can also mat another color on the back if you'd like, that's more of a neutral color. Like for example, I have some brown here that's just a piece of scrap. So let me put it over here and let me cut that. And I'm just going to follow the design of this other one so that I know when I put it on the back side, it will be small enough so that I'll still get a border. Now, when you are, once you decide the different sizes that you want, you may want to make yourself templates out of a thicker cardstock. Templates, then you'll always have, you know, the sizes you need for your journaling cards, and it won't take nearly as long. Now for me, I didn't make templates, and it took me longer in the process to make these because I had to cut all of them by hand and keep trimming and trimming and trimming. So if you do make yourself templates, I think that will be very helpful. So this is the back side. Let's see. Okay, it's way too big. So let me cut this down a little bit and a little bit more. Because this side is actually going to be your journaling side. Okay, so you can fit that in however you want. If you want it more curvy, you can do that, whatever you decide. But I'm going to go ahead and glue the back on. And this is actually the side that you will journal with. And one of the fun things about this particular project is you can use, if you want your journaling cards to be stiffer or, you know, sturdier, thicker, you can use your cereal boxes, you can use pasta boxes, cracker boxes, whatever you have, if you want this to be a more thick piece, like a cardstock piece. But to be honest with you, once you mat these, like the 2 times, you really do get a nice sturdy piece of journaling. Now, again, I do this pretty much freehand. So the way I design mine, and you guys can use whatever your preference is, but the way I design mine is I use a ruler and I pick a length on there. So I use 4.5, and then I measure from the 1 over to the 4.5, and then I just keep sliding down so that I'm making my journaling lines. Now, you don't have to make lines on yours if you don't want to. I personally like this style because you can actually title these for different things that you want in your journal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're just going to do 7. So I did 7 lines, and you can, depending on your drawing skills, of course, you can make other things on the journaling cards. For example, you can make just a flourish like this and like this at the bottom. And then another thing that I really like is I started to put little hearts right here in the corner. You can put little flowers here, little sequins if you have them, that you, or a button, or you could put you know, a little sticker if you have one. I just, because they're journaling cards, I just kept mine rather plain and just with the little hearts in the corner. Most of the ones I originally made, which I'll show you here in a little bit because there's a few different examples, I used black paper for the border, so they kind of look like a frame. So if you wanted to title this, for example, we could title this books I love to read. Okay, so we can title that if we want to, and then you can write on here all the different titles of the books or the authors that you like to read. So that's the basic process of the journaling card, and I think it's really cute because it allows, as I mentioned, a different shape in your journal instead of everything always being square or oblong, or, you know, you get kind of a different look with this. So I'm just going to pin it in here, and there it is for a journaling spot in this signature. Now, this particular journal that I'm going to be binding, I want all these edges to stick out, so I'm going to leave it like this Some people don't care for the edges, so maybe they would put a smaller one in here if they don't want anything sticking out. Another thing you can do with this is before you mat the brown paper, you could put a little brad here as well. So there's all kinds of things that you can add to the journaling cards to make them interesting. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that I've already made. And there are two designs that I came up with. So the first design is this is where I cut two pieces together, but I left the bottom as a fold, and I put a piece of vellum in here. And the vellum just shows through opaquely. Doesn't have to be anything really crazy, you know, for the middle. I didn't have any transparent, so I just decided to use this one that looks like candy sprinkles. Now these colors are kind of out of my color zone, but I wanted to try something fun with this paper. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just using some of the Stickles glue and going around the edge. I cut the holes out with an X-Acto knife, and sometimes when you do that, the edges look a little rough, and so this will make it look cute with a little bit of glitter glue around the sides. So that one's finished, and I'll show you the back. I used a pink, I have it here. It's an acrylic pen, paint marker, and I love these Toolie Art ones. They come in all kinds of colors, not just your basic few colors. They come in different light blues and different pinks and mauves, and these are really nice to work with. I hadn't used them for probably a month or so, and just opened it right up, and it worked fine. So I did this on the front, and then on the back I made some places here for the person that receives the journaling, or the journal, can write in whatever they'd like. When I was sliding my ruler down, some of the acrylic ink smeared, so it was kind of a happy mistake. I just made little triangles on each end of the sentences, or the spaces here, so that it gave a little more character to the card. And then of course I outlined the pink hearts in black. So there's that one that I need to let dry. So I'm going to just stick it up here so it can dry. And here are two other ones. I picked up some of these bottles. I think they're called fairy bottles, off of Temu. And what I did with these is I traced around the outside of the bottle and made myself a template, and then traced and then cut with an X-Acto knife so that I could get the shape. It is a little bit tricky because you don't always, I mean, sometimes the sticker, your shape that you cut ends up being a little bit bigger than the sticker, so you have to be careful with that. And I left the back of this one blank because it was drying. so I'll go back and add lines to this one. But I called this one Fantasy Feelings because of the little fairies and the hydrangeas. And in this one, I put little flowers in the corner, as you can see, and used a purple marker for the lines, and forgot to color this one in. So those are just a few ideas of more whimsical ones. Like I said, not really in my wheelhouse, but they turned out really cute. The other ones that I've been working on for the last couple days are a little bit different. Now, these are all done with black so that it looks more like a picture frame. So the first set I have are all different colors on the back. So you can see the matting. I'm just using up scrapbook paper I have. This one's really pretty. It's a rose. So there's all kinds of colors on the back. If you're doing a particular journal that you want to be uniform in color scheme, you know, by all means, you can pick all the matted part on the back to be, or front, whichever you call it, to be all the same scrapbook paper. So these three that I made here I did use some die cuts on, just some leaves. I wanted to keep it really simple, and I made the lines. And this one I didn't put any lines, I just put the scrolls. This one has lines, of course. So those three are set that you could put in your journal. And then we have just some plain ones. This paper, it has a little bit of texture to it, but it was an odd color. But I used it because I think when you write on it, it would look really interesting. So I made two like that. And then I made one here where I put more of a design at the top, and then the scroll things that I make there, and then the lines, of course. And even if the lines are not exactly equal, I still think that adds some interest to the card. And here's another blank one, and here's a little tiny one. So you can put them in pockets, you can put them, glue them down to a journal page, you can add them with the paper clip, however you want to. It just gives a little interesting look to your pages. Now this one I made, I actually matted it more than one time. So I used the black for the frame, and then I used, this is kind of a burnt orange, and then this butterfly pattern that I thought went well with that. And then on the other side, this is kind of a red, but it's more of an orange red, and I did it basically the same. And then I called this one My Dreams. And then I put the die cut on. These are Tim Holtz die cuts that I had left over. So I added those there. Sometimes I find it's hard for me to use Tim Holtz die cuts because I don't know, they just don't go with everything. I guess maybe it's just my style, I'm not sure. So the next ones I made, these are this was the back of a paper pad that thankfully the back of it was like a paper bag or a craft paper material, but it's a little bit thicker. So I made some of those, and actually I have this one says pensamientos profundos, and that means deep thoughts is the one I made. This one just says my thoughts. And then let's see, this one is blank, but I did a little bit of doodling along the edges. And then let's see what else I have, because some of these have a different color cardstock on them. So this one is really cute with the scrolls and then the hearts in the middle. And those are all done with that harder cardstock that I found for the that was the back of one of my paper pads that I had saved. So there are those. And then the last set I made are also black, but I used oh, and just so you can see the colors that are on the back of these. So they're all different colors of pretty cardstock. And this one here. So you get all different colors. I think this one and this one are the same, but those, I like choosing the colors for the other side. And then these last ones, I'll show you the back. This one has more numbers. Here's another piece of that butterfly paper, some doilies. So you get, it's a great way to use up some of your extra cardstock. But on the front of these, I used a brown, just a plain brown cardstock. This one I made so that it could be like a list of something that you might want to write down or share. This one just says journal. This one just says notes. This one says favorite quotes. This one is blank. This one is blank with this, actually not blank, but I just put lines on those and lines on those. So I have quite a selection. And I was really pleased with the way these came out and thought they were fun and unique and a nice way for you to be able to jazz up your journals a little bit with some interesting journaling cards. So there is my project and tutorial that I wanted to show you. So the most I even did one with my name on it for my channel, but the interesting thing about these projects, when you come up with something that's a little bit different or a little bit unique, is that you can, once you get the basic design, you can create so many. And even on this, if you wanted to, you could add some buttons or a strip of ribbon or whatever you wanted to. I know with journals in general, we try not to get them very bulky. I like mine bulky, chunky, interactive, and texturally pleasing. So if you wanted to add some of those elements, that's perfectly fine. You could put some 3D butterflies on here, or like this one with the leaves. I think this would look so cute in a botanical type journal. But there is my design for some new fancy doodly crazy journal cards. So I hope you liked this idea, and I'd love to see what you come up with. I also wanted to tell you all something very, very exciting. I was talking to a friend today that I used to participate in her art group that she had, and we were talking about it, and it's been about I think we said 16 years or thereabouts that we have not really worked together. And I came across her channel, and I came across some of her webpage. She uses the name Art and Images by Kim, and her name is Kim Newberg, and that's her channel name if you just search under Kim Newberg. And she has been one of the most influential people in my life to encourage me to make different art pieces in the past, mixed media. We worked on a lot of ATCs, and we worked on journals. So I was so happy to find her, and we were able to talk for a little bit, and it just really encouraged me to keep doing what I love to do, and know that there's still people out there, even from, 16, 20 years ago, that are doing the things that I love to do. And it's just been over the last, not even a year, that I've been able to get into making, things for my journals and sharing with you. So I hope you all enjoy this little tutorial. Leave me any comments. Be sure to hit up Kim and see what she does. She's a great artist, and I will be back again soon. So I hope you guys have a really great evening, and I appreciate all my subscribers. If you come across me and would like to subscribe, I'd be delighted. And as always, please be safe, and I love you all. Bye.